Dan, the big number we could have done is 39. That is the number of wins that the Dallas Mavericks had last season.
That's right.
Which would make them the winningest team to win the draft lottery since 1993. And I bring that up because what did the Orlando Magic do when they got the number 1 overall pick in 1993? They traded it. Chris Webber was drafted number 1 overall, and then David Stern hopped on the dais and just said, we have a trade. And he just, man, watching the video back, Dan, watching the video of David Stern gleefully just announcing the trade that the number 1 overall pick has been traded. The Orlando Magic are sending Chris Webber to the number 3 team, the Golden State Warriors, in exchange for Penny Hardaway, Anthony Hardaway, and 3 future first-round picks. We might not get that on draft night, but I'm putting that out there because the notion that someone would trade the number 1 overall pick, we know that is a lot more likely than unlikely in terms of the narrative. Like, I just don't think that it's a 0% chance that Nico Harrison trades this pick. But it's interesting that the last time a team that was this good landing the number 1 overall pick ended up saying, yeah, we're going to go in a different direction, trade down to fill a more position of need in Penny Hardaway next to Shaquille O'Neal. Remember, 92, the Magic got the number 1 overall pick. They drafted Shaq. And so Chris Webber, was that a good fit next to Shaq? Well, obviously the Orlando Magic decided not to go forward with that. And then the Golden State Warriors ended up trading Chris Webber a year later. So I don't see that happening, but Tim McMahon is also reporting over at ESPN that Cooper Flagg is going to be drafted, according to his sources, by the Dallas Mavericks, that they are not trading the pick, which means that he's going to be going against, fighting for playing time with Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively in a very jumbled up front court. So how do you see, I know we're not draft gurus like Kevin O'Connor and the rest of them out there, but what do you think about the assertion that we're hearing that Cooper Flagg is not going to necessarily follow in the same footsteps as Chris Webber, is going to be on the move on draft night? But I kind of feel like it's not a perfect fit. But also, Nico Harrison just traded Luka Doncic. So how are we going to put this past him that he might not also trade away Cooper Flagg and the number 1 overall pick too?
Well, yeah, I mean, first things first, like, what a win for ethical hoops, right? Like, the idea that, the team that wins the lottery is one that was trying to win all along. It was just, clearly the Mavs thought they had a championship caliber roster. They put a championship caliber team on the floor, were unfairly waylaid by injury. So really, it's, this is I think we consider a win for ethical hooping. My first thought on it, because I hear what you're saying, like the idea that what Cooper Flagg is ideally at the next level is probably like a playmaking 4, right? The idea, 6'9", he'll bulk up a little bit, maybe 220, 230, and, more along the lines of a, what Jason Tatum had become, or what Paolo Banchero, so a guy like that. The ball's in his hands a lot, and he's, playing the 4 for you. And you look at Dallas and say, well, if Anthony Davis doesn't want to play the 5, or if you've got Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, and you're going to play them at the 5 and Anthony Davis at the 4, it's clunky, it's awkward. But it's also my general thought is, like, as long as Cooper Flagg can defend the 3, which by all accounts he can do that, like, he's got the quickness, the lateral quickness, and the length to be able to credibly defend small forward. And if he can shoot well enough to do it, which, again, I'm not a draft Nick, but like 38.5% from 3 on a pretty steady volume, and I think like 85% at the free throw line, like, the indicators suggest good shooting touch, and that's likely to translate. So if he can shoot well enough to be spaced, if he can defend the 3, and if the general, like, operating principle that Nico Harrison seems to have in Dallas is, like, we want to be huge everywhere, like, blot out the Sun defense, and you were already playing like PJ Washington at the 3, right? Like, why not? Why not, like, just take that PJ Washington spot and, like, supersize it, supercharge it, and then you're running out something like Gafford or Lively, AD, Flagg, I don't know, Clay at the 2, yeah. Or like Najee Marshall at the 2. Like, Najee Marshall at point, he was running that late in the season, and you
could start Clay at the 2, Najee at the quote unquote 1, Cooper Flagg at the quote unquote 1, yeah, and just have a bunch of 6'8" plus dudes out there. Yeah.
So I think that is it it seems like the kind of team Nico Harrison wants to build is positional size everywhere, smother you defensively, and like kind of generate just enough offense. The question then obviously is like, if you don't have an elite all-time creator, like somebody who can just get you into your sets even like constantly, can you gin up enough offense with that structure? So, I mean, Kyrie Irving's recovery from his ACL tear looms really large there. It makes me wonder if now one of PJ Washington or Daniel Gafford, or maybe both, are expendable or become more expendable in the search for another ball handler creator, somebody ideally higher level than like Najee Marshall and Spencer Dinwiddie on the ball until Kyrie gets back, or even to be able to spell Kyrie when he's back. Like, so that's interesting from a team building perspective. But to me, like the idea that you would say, hey, Flagg doesn't quite fit as perfectly as we would like with our existing 4-5 infrastructure. I think that's, that maybe getting too clever by half. Then again, we were talking with the guy that traded Luka Doncic. So, I mean, maybe we can get too clever by half here, but I would be, this feels an awful lot like you got handed like the all-time lifeline and you maybe don't want to just cut it or throw it back into the ocean and say, no, I'm fine. No, thanks. I don't need that. I would suspect that is not what Nico Harrison is going to do.
All right. Let's say John Horst, the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks, meets at some fancy coffee shop with Nico Harrison.
Stay away from the coffee shops.
What if they meet up and he says, Giannis? For Cooper Flagg, who says no. I don't think Nico would do that. Despite the fact that he has said defense wins championships, and you already have a guy who's won a Defensive Player of the Year in Giannis Antetokounmpo, who can be that guy. We know that Giannis prefers not playing the 5 and Anthony Davis prefers not playing the 5, but maybe both of them together on the floor. Oh my God. Like, can you imagine what that defense looks like when you got those two guys on the same floor? And then from the Milwaukee side, it's like, you got a generational prospect in Cooper Flagg to be the next Giannis for your franchise. I can understand why both of those teams might be motivated to move to make the deal. However, if you're Giannis Antetokounmpo, are you fleeing a situation where Damian Lillard is out for the year or potentially out for the year with a devastating Achilles injury, and then joining a team in which Kyrie Irving is also projected to miss much, if not all, of next season with the ACL injury? So I don't know how Giannis would feel about that situation and kind of the power struggle that he would have with Anthony Davis. I mean, two guys who are not known for their three-point shooting. Can you have them both on the floor and have a high-level offense? I think you could. Jason Kidd could construct that. I also think Nico Harrison could look at the shoes on Cooper Flagg and say, hey, we kind of like the swoosh guy and the guy wearing the swoosh on his feet in Giannis Antetokounmpo being the face of Nike over the last few years. I think that would probably go over a little bit better with the guy who was a former Nike executive over there in Nico Harrison. I'm not saying that's driving, but I think it's part of the calculus why he loved Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving is because of the time they worked together at Nike. And I'm not saying Cooper Flagg is not going to be drafted by the Dallas Mavericks because he's a New Balance guy, but I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there that Giannis is a Nike guy and he's very good at defense and he fits the timeline of what Nico Harris wants over the next few years. So I don't know, just throwing it out there, Dan, in the whole like trade proposal of Giannis for Cooper Flagg. Where do you stand on that? And where do you see that conversation going?
I know we exist in a world untethered from all previous precedents and realities. This is the split. It's like the atomic bomb went off inside of the NBA when this deal happened, and all that is before is gone and all that is to come is uncertain. I cannot imagine Nico Harrison doing it again. I think
He checked time. You didn't think I could do it, huh? You don't think I'm going to push this button? You don't think I'm going to do it?
It's less heat check than it is like shoot to get hot, shoot to stay hot, shoot. Or you're ice cold, keep shooting. It's both of them. It's like, you break the last 10, well, you do. The next one's about to go in. The downside risk of, again, going, and it's not even like 25 to 30 or whatever, 31. It's like just turned 18 to 30 and trading into the older guy with the injury history, with I think what we can safely assume the best part of his career behind him, even if there's going to be multiple great years left, doing that again. And in the process, also like whatever matching salary you'd have to send, because Cooper Flagg is going to be on a rookie scale deal. So whatever other pieces you are moving to make the make weight salaries work, and whatever other potential assets would need to go up, whatever. Further saying the only thing that matters is the next 2 years or the next 3 years feels like franchise suicide.
I know. Do the fans, if they trade Cooper Flagg, even if that's what's crazy. Like, if you're not willing to trade Cooper Flagg for Giannis, who are you willing to trade Cooper Flagg for? Because does Cooper Flagg make himself into like a top 5 in trade value in the NBA right away? Like, if you're not willing to, if you're not willing to trade him for Giannis, like who's on that short list?
It has to. I mean, you'd have to look younger, right? It has to be like it's Wembanyama, it's Shea, it's the guys that are like approaching their prime already, all NBA players. I think that's like the way, not saying that Cooper Flagg is going to walk into the league and perform at that level, but if you are looking at whatever that is, 6-7 years of guaranteed control, that gets him only to 25, and then the ability to extend off of that further, like the potential value and benefit of that is like almost incalculable, especially as if you're Dallas, you're saying like we would be cycling off of the AD contract and the Clay contract, the Kyrie contract, like moving into whatever's next. This would be your anchor for that, to continue to keep you afloat. I guess anchor and afloat is a mixed metaphor there, but like it's the thing that helps you move into the next stage of competitive NBA basketball as you move past this sort of an initial push to title contention under the Nico Harrison regime. Moving off of that willingly, I think, would have to require getting something that is like insurance on the back end of it. Because I just can't imagine making that decision twice in 4 months, 6 months, whatever. But again, I haven't been able to imagine very much of what all has gone on here. The thing that blows my mind most, or I guess the thing that will blow my mind most, is that happening again and saying it's going to be Flagg for Giannis or insert other like all NBA superstar here. The other potential one is like on the smaller scale, is as I was looking around and thinking, well, if you are going to package together or look to move off of like Gafford or PJ Washington, and you need another ball handler, you need another creator, like who's in that same sort of salary structure that you could find that might be good? And there's like, Jesus, if they go back to Austin Reeves, if this becomes a like Gafford for Reeves deal that then like folds into the Luka AD deal.
Oh my God.
And you're like, oh man, it does make some sense for both sides. But like, no, we can't do that. We can't have another coffee shop meetup. It can't be like forget Pat or like before sunset, before sunrise, like in stages over time, the same 2 people meeting up year after year. Like, we can't do it. We simply can't.
Like Groundhog Day, just like every day is Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison meeting up for some bean. I mean, that would be. Think about it. Like, why not? Like, why Austin Reeves? I know his contract number is a little bit cumbersome in trade talks just because it's such a low number. It's a good contract, but like, they're just swapping rosters at this point, And think about it: JJ Redick, he could have. Think about like the whole Duke thing and just like he's trading for basically. I mean, maybe it's Derek Lively. He reunites with the Duke guy. The brotherhood remains strong. Daniel Gafford. Austin Reeves, I mean, he does fit the prototype of what they need, is like the rim running center next to Luka. It is so crazy. The NBA is so crazy, dude. Like I'm going to admit something. I just went into the trade machine over at Spotrac. Spotrac or Spotrac?
I think I say Spotrac, but I'm never convinced I'm right.
Like, I feel like it's like Spotrac, but it's all Spotrac.
Right.
I went on Spotrac trade machine and just trying to see if Jaylen Brown works in a trade for Cooper Flagg. I'm just trying to see how the math would work, and it's not coming together because Jaylen Brown's contract is about 50 and Cooper Flagg's nowhere near that. So it's gonna be tough. But like, if the Boston Celtics lose here against the New York Knicks and they have some really tough decisions to make about the future of this franchise, I don't know. Does Brad Stevens get on the phone with Nico Harrison for Cooper Flagg, bringing the main boy home? I don't know. I don't think Nico Harrison would do it. But again, I don't think he would trade Luka Doncic for 50 cents on the dollar. So Cooper Flagg, most likely going to be a Dallas Maverick on draft night coming up. We've got an incredible Indiana Pacers team that is poised to be one of the biggest underdogs, if not the biggest underdog, to get this far in the NBA postseason. We'll see how they do against their upcoming opponent. We'll see who that is, but the Indiana Pacers are here. So is Cooper Flagg, and so is all the coffee that we are injecting into our arms and the IV. But soon, like you said at the top, fewer games coming up, and our families are going to love us a lot more going forward. Dan, we got to go. I got to thank some people before we end this program here. Stone, Mike, Emmy, and the entire team behind the scenes that works on this show and makes it a reality. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to The Big Number on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. Rate us 5 stars. And make sure you tell all of your friends. We'll be back next week with another episode of The Big Number. Until then, be safe. Enjoy the weekend.